Welcome to another episode of As Told by Millennials.
Y'all better come up here and get one of these. That's too damn bad! And it's really very simple. Y'all better come up here and get one of these. That's too damn bad!
What is going on?
Hey.
What up? What up?
It's Fat Albert.
Shut
Shut up.
up. I should have
Welcome
thought
back.
about that when I said
All right. Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of As Told by Millennials. Thank you for joining us. As always, make sure you subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts, and check us out on social media at As Told by Millennials. So, what's up, people?
Yeah.
What's going on with y'all?
Yeah, just chilling. Nothing much. Just chilling. Enjoying this week that we got a little cool weather.
No, it's been an amazing week with the weather and the rain. And both of you guys know that I've always had like a thing for like hating rain. But after not having
That's
rain
deep.
since May in Dallas, it's time. It's time.
Mm-hmm.
I absolutely love the rain. I have been feeling like a fish out of water with this drought that we've been in, but uh, I'm so glad that we finally got a little natural water coming out of the
Absolutely.
sky. It just sounded so good to me. I love the rain, which is
Mhm.
But you
odd
know
because
what?
I'm the Earth sign. I'm the Earth sign, and you're the water sign. It was Aquarius air
Yeah,
sign.
and we're complete. We're air sign, but we're
Air
completely
sign. Okay.
opposite. Hmm
I'm a
of what
fire, so I
the
burn both of
expectation
y'all up.
is. Yeah, sounds about
Child,
right.
Shut up.
you
Don't
can light a
start.
grill.
Okay.
But I can light a beef up.
Yeah, that sounds about right too.
Hey, I'm not too much now. Yeah.
So,
Oh.
I guess in typical fashion, what is your overall wellness score right now?
Mm, For me, I would say this week was probably my 8.1. Not a bad week. Week went by kind of pretty fast, but not a bad week. Not stressful. Just really been, like you said, cruising through the week and enjoying this cool weather for the first chance. Um, Other than that, I think I'm okay. What about you?
I've probably been at a 10 for most of the week. I haven't been to work this week. I think I may have worked one day this week. So, I have been enjoying the downtime and just the time to myself and the rest and the recharge of it all. I think I needed it more than I realized. So I'm glad I was able to do that this week. David, what about you?
Um, Same. It's been a good week. Like I said earlier, I think that I'm hovering around a 9, a healthy 9. The first part of the week kind of started off really weird. There were some challenges going on at work that kind of, you know, put me on the radar. Not personal things, but things that other people kind of had going on were really kind of a damper. But I was able to find peace this week, so I'm feeling good. I'm excited for the weekend.
That's good. I'm glad you finished it with you were able to find peace. Um,
Hmm
I don't know. I think maybe later on this season, or maybe in another season, we should do an episode called "The Journey to Peace"
The
and just
journey
what
to
all that
peace.
entails. Like just
It's
what all
work,
that
guys.
entails. It is really
Hmm
hard work. Like
It's
trying to
work.
find your own journey to what peace is for you because it's such a personal thing. But yeah,
Hmm.
I just that popped in my head as you were talking, and you said you were able to find peace. So I'm glad that we are all this week on the higher end of
Yeah,
the
that's a
scale this
plus.
week. Yeah, that's really good.
Mhm.
Um,
Hmm.
and again, always shout out to Don't Be Coy podcast for that little scale that we've adopted. It's
Hmm.
really good. I mean, I like it. It's a really good way to express and have the language to express how you're doing mentally.
Yeah, from an educational standpoint, it's a really great way to engage the room, just to kind of
Mm-hmm.
know where everybody is, and then we in normal fashion we always find a way to make sure that we all have encouragement. Um,
Right.
so this week we
Right.
just get to celebrate feeling encouraged or being encouraged. So yeah, I'm glad to hear that. Really, really glad to hear that.
Mm-hmm.
What's up?
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
That's good. I'm glad. I really am. As someone in a transparent moment here, I I never want like I want to do the podcast, but like I just never want to like do the process of doing the podcast. It's like it can be
Mhm.
tiring sometimes. But by the
Yeah.
time we get here and we start talking and stuff like that, like I'm excited to be here. Like now I'm excited to be here and I'm excited to be doing it. But like the process of getting here, I'm like, ugh,
Mhm.
we
The
got to do
initial
this
push.
again. Yeah, we got to set time aside to do this. We got to make sure the audio is right, make sure the scheduling is right for everybody. Like it's a lot that goes to it, that goes into it, and instead of just everybody thinking you just sit down and just start talking.
Yeah, we gotta
Yeah,
go
But
through
yeah,
wardrobe, gotta talk to accounting and all this.
no, it really seems like that, and I think that it would be different if we were able to just get in the car and pull up, or just show up. It would be one thing, but when you're all three producers of the show, and you have to literally plan out every aspect of how do we get to this moment right here, and not only being in this moment, but the whole time we're recording, we're in a producer mindset. Like, okay, so you know, what is this going to sound like when we get ready to do, all the logistics and stuff like that. So, you know,
hmm
it's a
and I
lot of
know for
work.
me personally, um, going along with what you said, my mind is always thinking about the direction and the flow of the conversation
Hmm.
because I always want the conversation to be natural, and I always want us to discuss um, certain topics and touch on certain points. So I'm always uh, working on steering the conversation in a certain way, making sure we transition to where we need to go and stuff like that. But
Hmm.
yeah, just we're here and we're glad to be here, and I'm glad that we're all doing well this week.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
with that being said, I guess we can move into our happy hour. I have spiked my Coke with some Woodford Reserve, which is something, a whiskey that David put me on, and I've just kind of stuck with it. I think, David, you're drinking tequila?
Yeah, I'm drinking tequila and pineapple, which you guys know I'm normally a brown drinker, but this is a post happy hour drink with coworkers today. So, you never really know about those daiquiris, so I knew that I wouldn't go wrong with drinking tequila tonight. So, shout out to tequila.
Denzel, are
Definitely
you
need that
the?
daiquiri.
Oh well,
Shit, I ain't
until then,
drinking nothing right now.
you're the designated.
Are you the designated driver tonight?
He is. He's the
Yeah,
designated. He's the designated driver.
And that's
shit.
perfectly
So,
fine.
right. With that being said, since we're too inebriated to do so, why don't you take the next part of the show and talk about what's been going on in the streets and in the sheets?
Okay, so first of all, did you guys take a look at the VMAs this past week?
No.
The only, the only thing I know about the VMAs was that girl was twerking at the red carpet. Other than that, I didn't see anything about
Oh,
it. I
Suki
didn't
with
even
Suki,
know it
the
happened.
Suki.
Suki, yep, that's definitely her.
You know, the
I didn't
crazy thing I
see
will
it.
say is I like Suki. I would
I do
never,
too.
I would absolutely never want to engage in a conversation with her.
Never. I
I
wouldn't
mean,
even pull up at the VMAs with her.
I would never want. I don't like. I just don't ever have to talk to her or engage in a conversation with her or, hear what's going on in her head. Like I don't need to do none of that. But I like
You
her.
actually, you'll actually be surprised. I've seen some of her interviews. She's actually quite, level headed. But I think some of the things that she does is kind of like, persona. But when like some of her interviews, like she's like probably the most like level headed, like problematic person. Like, as
I
in
don't
that term.
doubt.
She's not problematic, but she's actually I think you'll actually get along with her if you actually talk to her.
I don't doubt that she is level headed, and I don't doubt that I would get along with her. I won't talk. I don't have to talk to her. Like if that makes sense. Like how some people in life you just go by and like the paths that you're on just never cross, and so you don't really just have to talk to the person. But I know just from her and seeing her journey and the way that she has responded to the things that she has come up against, I know that she is somebody that I like. But I just
Mm.
there's like if she and I were to talk to each other, it would be some sort of forced situation. Like we would,
Mm.
I
because we would never
was.
just, yeah, we would never just naturally be talking to each other.
I was, however, surprised to see her at the VMAs because I'm like, girl,
Yeah, because
come
does
on
she
now.
do anything to be at the VMAs?
Well, she has a couple of songs. She's a rapper, but I don't, none of them are VMA, but she does her little things though. But it is kind of crazy that she's there before Jocelyn. But a lot of people are there before Jocelyn though. But
I don't think it's
anyways,
weird. I don't think it's
Yeah,
weird that she's at
Jocelyn's
the
songs were pretty
VMAs.
good.
I
she's
feel
one of those
like
people.
a lot of older, more mature audiences, not audiences, but artists. A lot of older and more mature artists, like the Beyonces and the Rihannas, and like those people are not going to the VMAs. So
Mm,
if they're gonna have any sort of star power at the VMAs, it's gonna be these new and upcoming artists that are gonna fill
yeah.
the seats and take over the performances and stuff like that.
Well, I actually didn't look at the VMAs. I saw some key performances or whatnot. The only ones that I really cared about. They said they had. They said they had Nicki Minaj doing to the hosting, but I think some of that got cut short because the beef with her and all the other rap girls or whatever. But
Who and all the other rap girls?
Nicki Minaj,
Oh,
you
what
know,
else is going on?
I know, but I think she performed a couple of her songs, whatever. I saw Doja Cat's performance and Cardi and Megan's performance. After that, I didn't care for nothing else. But it looked like the VMAs more really looked like it was the BET Awards or something like that because I didn't hear nothing else about any other categories. I didn't see no Taylor Swift. I didn't see no none of that up there. People talking about it at least because I didn't look at it. But yeah, in other words, did y'all? Well, Young Jesus divorcing that I haven't say something, but that girl he married, the talk show host lady, they're
I
getting a
forgot they
divorce
were
after
still
10
together.
years. So you'll be about. A lot of people
I
are
just remember
separating.
that comment. I remember that comment that she made, and it was so blatantly racist. And she made that comment on the reel about how black guys are good for the streets and like they're good to be with on the side. But if she's going to marry someone, she was going to marry a white man. She was like, she wasn't going to marry a black man. Like that's not, those aren't the exact words. I'm summarizing and paraphrasing, but it was, to that
I
effect.
was about to
Oh,
say,
okay.
well, first of all, bitch.
That's kind of, and I don't know if that was because she was with the white man at the time, but that's what she said by her own admittance that she had dated black guys before, but she had never at that time, thought about marrying a black guy. They would be fine for a little fun here and there on the side, but she would never seriously consider marrying one. And
Like,
she's saying that at a table of majority black women, and I was like, "Girl, you got to be bold."
got some nerves. And when I read that on social media today that they were getting divorced, I literally scrolled down to the next post, and that was a video clip of that. One thing about the internet, they ain't gonna let you forget. They
But what's weird, it's kind of weird to me that people are even out here dating without the intentions of getting married. That's weird and it's kind of annoying to me in a certain way, but I don't know, maybe it's just me.
Baby, people
It's
go out
just
here and
you
buy
at
cars with
30.
their intention of not paying for it. So you know.
Yeah,
It's just
So,
you. It's
maybe
just
it's
you in
me
your
at 30.
30s. Because I don't
Yeah,
think
because
anybody
I have this
that's
whole
seriously
thing.
dating at 21.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, if I go on a date with you, I see a possibility that there could be something there. You know, like I'm not one of those serial dater type of people. Like if I'm going out and shit spending money and spending time with each other, investing our time, I got to see something. You know.
whether you see restraining order, domestic violence, and all, you see something.
I will say I
Hey.
found it interesting that the headline reads, and I don't know how true this is, but the headline reads that he is divorcing her. He filed for a
Yeah.
divorce
Mhm,
from her. And I was like, well, that's odd.
But hey,
mhm.
he had they said he well I read reports that it says that he also they both had prenups and he want joint custody of his daughter. So, they said they've been separated for a while now, but
But that's
you know.
weird because they were just together at somebody's event not too long ago.
Imagine having to be somewhere with a whole bunch of important people and you have to go somewhere with somebody
It
you do
was
not like.
something with Candy and Todd, and it was
Oh
something in
Lord.
Atlanta. It was something in Atlanta, so I don't know.
Okay, Chad. They also said Tiana Taylor and Amon Sherper is separated too.
What?
He
Now
was
that's
on
interesting.
Yeah,
caught
I know. I sent y'all them flights to New York. I didn't know how God was working, but I see what He doing now.
yeah,
He is trying to get me to New York
I know
to
that's right.
secure my future.
Looks like some other chick beat you to the punch, baby, because he already in her background picture.
Hmm.
But yeah. And speaking of Tiana Taylor,
Look who
she's
said I was going for him. What he talking about?
well.
Okay, because I was
So,
going. I
I
was
want
definitely going for
Tiana.
Tiana. You're right.
okay. Well, and
I
speaking of
mean,
her,
either
Damn,
way,
I don't
but
want him. I would definitely prefer Tiana over him.
I ain't gonna say I don't want him, but I just wasn't going for him.
Hmm.
yeah.
Completely agree, Milton. Completely agree. Yeah, my mind was definitely in the same place. I'm like, shit, that's who I want.
But yeah, and speaking of Tiana Taylor, she's featured on Diddy's New Love album. Now, have you guys heard that?
Gowns, beautiful gowns.
I,
It's actually great. I ain't gonna say it's great, but it's a lot of songs on there. But
I
it's a lot.
haven't I haven't listened to the album yet, but I am a fan of a lot of the artists that he has on the
Mhm.
album, like Jasmine Sullivan and John Legend and Tiana Taylor. Because I think people forget that Tiana Taylor she can sing.
I
Hmm.
love her song on here. Like, give it a try. Like, you see, it's a really good song though. But he has
I
a lot of
love
art now.
I love the tone of her voice.
Hmm. I wanna with all these like heavyweight names on this album, I wanna how like the pay structure is because you can't just play these people like how you can play most of the Bad Boy record people that he has on his label. But pretty sure that's a hefty little check for these people being on here and just the amount of heavyweight names in the music industry. But yeah, it's 23 tracks on this album, and it's really good though. I give it out of 10. I probably give it like a 8.5.
Mm.
Okay. Well, I know initially I'm gonna start off listening to the people that I enjoy the most, and then I'll probably, swing back around and catch the other songs because I will, I'll make this point that nowadays you can do that to an album. Usually back in the '90s and early 2000s, like an album was one piece of art,
Yeah.
Mm.
and you would have to listen to the entire album to really be able to get it. Like, and a lot of people just don't make albums like that. Beyonce's Renaissance album is like that. You need to listen to that whole album to really get,
Hmm.
what she's trying to say. But a lot of times you can just go pick a couple of songs off an album and, you'd be fine because, like, the album itself is not a cohesive piece of work. It's just
A
tracks.
bunch of random songs thrown together. Yeah.
Hmm.
Hmm. But I think, to be honest with you, with listening to his album, I think it's kind of like a love story to Kim Porter. I can see like little pieces of it. I can tell that he's kind of dealing with the death for her or whatever. There's a song specifically dedicated to her with John Legend and Babyface that they're singing on it, and it's really a nice song. It's a kind of emotional type song, but it's really good though.
But wasn't he dating somebody that wasn't
Yeah,
Kim Porter?
yeah,
It
he dated
absolutely was.
numerous people.
Mm.
Carisha, was Cassie after Kim?
No,
Yeah, Cassie.
Cassie.
Yeah, and Cassie was in the picture when she died.
Hmm.
Mm, yeah.
Hmm.
Cassie was probably during and after Kim, honestly.
Well, I
Mhm.
think right after Kim is when she was kind of like peace, right? Like
Mm,
like officially was like, I'm done with him
Hmm.
because she
yeah.
with somebody else now, the other
Well,
guy.
there's a lot going on with that, um, with Kim Porter and her death, and certain
Yeah.
allegations and accusations and stuff that were made against Diddy. So, um,
Mm.
it's strange, and not saying that
Very.
people can't grieve in ways that they choose to, in ways that feel most natural to them, but it's just with all of the allegations that were made against him, it's just strange that he would be dedicating an album to her.
Yeah.
Mm.
I sure thought about that when I seen it too. I was like, people are probably gonna start linking like he probably feels guilty for her death or something like that. You know how people try to
Well, what were
make
the
things.
allegations? Do y'all think that he had something to do with her death? Like seriously,
They,
like what were the allegations?
the allegations
It
were
was
she was writing
alleged.
a tell all. Yeah, alleged
It
that
was
she was writing a tell
alleged.
all about him.
Hmm.
Mm.
It was a tell
And
all
that
about her life, and he was such a big part of her life, and supposedly there were some things that he did not want to come to light, and bada boom,
and when she
Kim was
died,
gone.
her laptop that had all the information on her writing her book or stuff went missing allegedly. But
Oh, I did.
people.
I did hear that. Okay, I did hear that. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah.
But I mean,
And other
at this
It's
point,
not
we
news,
don't even care.
It may
and
not
other
be
news, we're
any
gonna talk
truth
about.
to that at all.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about two more things. Then we're gonna wrap this session up. Have you all been paying attention to the Tyrese and
No,
DJ Envy beef? It's kind of crazy, but that situation, we'll probably talk about that for another day because it's kind of deep. Also, Mills,
there's a list of people in my head that as soon as I see them on like a clip or a video or something like that, I just immediately scroll. And Tyrese and DJ Envy are both on that list.
I took a look at it. I think I'm siding with Tyrese. He sounds sane. Everything he's saying kind of makes sense. What Judge Judy say? If it doesn't sound logical, it doesn't. If it doesn't make sense, 9 times out of 10 it's a lie. So yeah.
Hmm. They must have him on a an effective regimen of medication. Then, if he
Well,
sounds sane.
he said the reason why he was doing crazy stuff, he had took some medication and the side effects was really bad.
Hmm.
And but yeah, that's another. We'll talk about that actually next week because it's still playing out. So we'll talk about that next week. So, Miss, what do you think about this auto strike? United Auto Workers strike that's going on
United Auto Workers strike.
with the big three.
Well, I went on strike a couple of years ago when I quit. So, what do you think about it? Since you're still in the automotive industry.
Well, for the people that doesn't know, United Auto Workers, which is like a union for auto workers in the United States, whatever, they are striking against the U.S. big three companies: Chevrolet, well, GM, Stellantis, which owns Chrysler, Jeep, Dodge, and Ford. They walked off out of three plants today, one from each company, demanding raises and stuff like that and other things. The CEO, most of the CEOs got a 40% increase on their pay, and they didn't get any increase on their pay, so they're striking that and for better work conditions and schedules and stuff like that. But for me, I mean, I see where they're coming from. I particularly haven't worked for any of the American companies like GM or Stellantis, but my parents or whatever they work for. So I have had firsthand knowledge of how it works and stuff like that. When my dad and mom being forced into early retirement during a bout in 2008, well, the recession. But I understand where they're coming from, wanting, like those companies made tons of money off the back of those people. Most of those cars are being made like for dollars and getting raises, and the CEOs getting like, paid 30. I think GM's CEO, she got her wages for last year was like $30 million. And most of the workers there are making like $16 an hour. But these trucks and cars and stuff are getting more and more expensive, and you're making more and more profit off of it. And you should just share it. Like you could cut. You're the leader, so if you're getting more money, your people should get more money. And it's not like that. But I think I'm with them on it though. I think that they're onto something, and they have a strategy where they're holding the big three kind of hostage. Instead of just flat out striking at all the plants, they have select different little plants at random times. That way, that the automotives don't know what's going on or how to be prepared for it. So keep catching them off guard. But I think I'm with them on it. I mean, you're making this company a lot of money. Why can't you get it?
I am always with people organizing and fighting for what they feel they deserve. So I don't really know the details of the story or um, the demands that they have, or what situations they're looking to be improved by them going on strike. But like I said,
Mhm.
I'm always rooting for people standing up for themselves and fighting for what they feel they deserve. So if they feel like this is the best way to get what they deserve, and they feel like the big three are capable on improving on things such as pay and work environments, like you said, safer working environments, then I feel like, go for it. I mean, that's what, um, that's one of the more beautiful things about America.
Yeah.
So,
And a lot of people don't understand, like, a lot of people are not paying attention to it because they feel like, hey, I don't work in a manufacturer, but this is going to kind of trickle down and affect everyone when you really look at it because these vehicles at these plants that they're making, these vehicles are used by everyday businesses that, involve you. Government buy trucks from Ford, Chevrolet, and stuff like that. So if they don't have vehicles and stuff like that, it's gonna hurt you. It's gonna hurt the community around the plants where if the employees are not coming to work, they're not getting paid, they're not going to be in the in the area spending money at local businesses, and it's going to trickle down. You have suppliers that depend on these workers to send their parts to. You have transportation trucks like truck drivers that are transporting parts. If no cars are being made, no parts are being ordered, so there's nothing to transport. So it's going to affect everyone down the road. It's projected if these plants are closed down for a whole week, it's going to cost each company almost $5 million by the end of the week if they continue to be like that, though. But I'm all for people getting for if you're helping make this cake, you should get a slice of the cake, even portion of the cake. You can't just have one person
Hmm.
just standing there
Hmm.
saying I represent this company and I'm going to get most of the money, but you're going to do all the work. But to my UA workers, stand strong, stand together. That's where they're gonna get you. They're gonna try to break y'all up, but good luck. I hope wish the best for you. So we can wrap this up. Do y'all need to take a break, or
Yeah, we can take a quick little break and allow you to gather your thoughts so you can guide us into the next portion of the show.
All right, guys, we'll be back.
What are we talking about?
All right, guys, we're back, and for the meat and potatoes, this time we will be talking about how we deal with conflict now versus how we how we used to deal with conflict when we were younger. Um, Conflict is something that we deal with mostly on a day to day basis, and it doesn't have to be like super serious though. But it's dealing with other parties. So like with conflict, you deal with conflict in your friendship, relationships, family, work, professional conflicts, and stuff like that. So with me, this past week or whatnot, there's been a couple of things going on at work, and just basically like everybody in my department in conflict with each other. They are in conflict with each other. I'm not in conflict with anybody because I don't care. But I just was sitting around the other day and I was just looking at them and how they was operating. And most of my coworkers are immature, very immature, but they're old and dusty and raggedy. But they're like big babies. So I just wanted to talk to you guys to see, like, what have you observed about yourself and how you deal with conflict in your life and the transition of growing up. What have you seen that you have like during the process of dealing with conflict? What have you improved on, and what are your weaknesses that you're still dealing with in handling conflicts?
Okay, I'll go first. Um, for me, I my idea of what conflict is has changed a lot. I know when I was younger, um, conflict, always seemed like a battle that I, had to win. I needed to win. Um, but now I just see conflict as, it's just uh, a differing of opinions or a differing of perspectives. And, we may agree, we may not agree, but just because we don't agree, it doesn't mean that I have to sway you to my side or you have to sway me to your side. We can just disagree and, not allow it to drive a wedge between us or not allow it to stir up, some sort of animosity or anything. We can still coexist with each other and be in disagreement. Is like so
Yeah,
it doesn't impose the same level of stress on me as it used to because when like I said when I was younger and I would disagree with somebody or have some sort of conflict with somebody like it like it was I had to be right, you had to see where I was coming from, like my point had to be proven, I had to win the argument and all the other stuff, just very I don't want to necessarily say combative, but maybe a little confrontational. Like, confrontation was something that I absolutely did not have a problem. I still don't. It just looks different.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've um, grown to not see conflict as such a bad thing as well as I've gotten older. So
Yeah.
I feel like I handle it a lot better now. Um, and I've learned that it is something that is just going to be inevitable, especially if you, like myself, kind of like to surround yourself with strong-minded people because I need to be around strong-minded people because I can be a bit strong sometimes, and if you are, um, you know, weak minded, or if your personality is just on the more passive side, then um, that may be a little jarring or offensive to you or whatever. It's not that I'm meaning to be, but I'm just, I'm strong in who I am, and I'm strong in what I believe in, and I'm strong in my opinions and my perspectives. And I like those people that I choose to surround myself to be strong in their perspectives too. If you feel something, stand on how you feel. If that's the way you think, then that's the way you think. You know, even if you out there by yourself, stand on it. So um, with that being that way, it does kind of um, it's a breeding ground for conflict, and I feel like because of that, because of um, growing up and just realizing you can't just immediately cut people off as soon as y'all disagree about something. I mean, you can. It's gonna be a hard, lonely life for you, but you just realize that it's just crazy to just be cutting people off just because they don't feel the same way about Nicki Minaj or Beyonce that you do. Like stuff like that is crazy the older you get. So, and you two are a prime example. David is crazy about Monica. David is crazy about Brandy. I'm sorry. And
See, you
you
finna
are
cause
crazy
another
about,
conflict.
right. See, finna cause another conflict. David is crazy about Brandy, and Denzel is crazy about Monica. Me, I don't care. But,
Hmm.
but just, stuff like that, it's conflict, but it's no reason to end a friendship over. It's no reason to actually harbor any type of malice or anything. Like, it's just part of being strong individuals. So
Mm,
Hmm.
that's
yeah.
where I'm at with it.
What about you, Dave?
Um. Well, I feel like here recently I've been surrounded by a lot of um, situations that I guess you could consider to be somewhat of a conflict or disagreement. Um, None of it necessarily have anything to do with me. One was a professional thing, and another was like a personal relationship. Um, and I think that I'm never really one to start conflict or be necessarily involved with conflict. Every now and then you get some people that will take offense to something I do or say, which is weird to me. But I don't, I'm not one of those people that go out looking to cause conflict with people. Generally, if I feel some kind of way, either we're going to have a conversation about it or you're going to feel my energy shift in such a way that you know that we may not necessarily be on the best terms. But dealing with conflict has changed so much for who I am now because it's more so of either we have a conversation about it or it doesn't really exist.
Yeah.
I'm not fighting nobody. I'm not necessarily beefing with nobody. So conflict is just kind of one of those things where when it comes, I have to take the time to kind of say, okay, this is how I'm going to deal with this, or am I going to ride this out because this person more so has a conflict with me rather than we have a conflict. Um, so that I mean that's kind of where I go with it.
Help me help you.
Help me, help me, help you. You have a problem with me. I don't necessarily have a problem with you. Hmm.
With me, like with conflict growing up, looking back at it, most of the time I can say from this point of view, looking back at me, with the conflicts that I had growing up in my younger age, it was more so, I'm not gonna say insecurities, but I can say that I wasn't secure with what I was thinking or what my point of view of that conflict was. So most of the time, like when you think and you add up the facts and you make a sane decision, like this is my decision, or this is what I came, the results of what I'm thinking. If you're if it makes sense to you, there's no point of having conflict on it. Like,
Hmm.
it's a secure thing. So with me, I was growing up and I feel like I have to battle people or whatever, make them feel how I feel. But now when I'm growing up, I know that I have a sane mind. I can think, I'm intelligent. So if one plus one is two and two plus two is four, and you coming up with this, so it doesn't make sense. But and there's no point of me arguing it because I know it makes sense to me, and I know I have facts, and that can that brings me up to this decision, and whatnot. Only
Hmm.
thing I can think of is, do you want my help? I'm trying to understand where you're having an issue with this, a conflict with yourself on the results of whatever we are talking about. Also, I gauge my I have gauges on whether I should have a conflict with you and how do I
Hmm.
deal with the conflict with you. So if you're like a person that I care about, or you know have to work, well, say for instance, family wise, my mom, our parents and whatnot, they think they know everything and stuff like that. Sometimes you be talking to them and you're telling them like you're dealing with a specific situation, and they automatically gonna go to how they think. They're gonna tell you you're doing something wrong, and you're like, okay, I'm not gonna sit here and argue with you. I'm gonna let you do. I know what I'm facing,
Hmm.
and what I'm facing, probably you probably have faced it when you were my age, but at a different point in life where things have changed. So you're only thinking based off of what you've been through, but I'm here dealing with the same thing with a different set of circumstances. So there's no point of arguing with a person they're stuck in their ways. So I'm not gonna argue with you on that. So I'm like, okay, I'm not. What's the point of arguing with you? And at the end of the day, I'm still gonna have to talk to you. You're my parent, you're my brother, you're my cousin, or whatnot. You're my close friend.
Hmm.
At work, I don't like career wise. There's no point of arguing because I'm secure in my job. I know what I'm doing. It's not that I'm like, what is the word I'm looking for? It's not that I am stuck up or bougie or whatever you want to say. I just the facts point to this, and I'm trained in my job. I know what I'm doing. So if you have an issue or a conflict, if I'm having a conflict with a person, I look at it like, do I need this conflict that we're having? Do I need to deal with this conflict in order to complete my job or to get through today? If it's nothing that I really need to, like, in order to complete my day or to even, complete a project, I'm not gonna sit there and argue with you. I'm gonna be like, okay, all right, yeah, all right, and keep on moving. So
Hmm.
how do you guys deal? Let me ask you a question. How do you guys deal with conflict within yourselves? Or have you ever identified a conflict that you're having within yourself?
I think that um, self conflict can be rooted in a lot of different things, but I know that there are a lot of ways to process self conflict. So, in some situations, it's a matter of me having a conversation with myself, like, okay, bitch, you can't do this. You have to do this. If this is the result that you want, you got to do this. And then we have other conflicts where um, it actually takes a process or it takes work. of me doing certain things or having the motivations to do certain things that lead me to a specific or targeted goal, you know? Um,
Yeah.
and I think that most of the time my um, issues or conflict come from me knowing how to treat people. Um, People who, like we said earlier, I don't necessarily care about these people, but I work with these people or I have to have a certain relationship with this person. And so I have to I can't have a I don't give a fuck attitude. I have to have a loving attitude or a caring attitude. Because not only is this person trying to get a desired result, but I also would like to maintain a certain level of peace as well. So,
Yeah. It's kind of like self conflict is kind of like you're telling yourself like y- you're not doing what you know you're capable of doing. That's
mhm,
basically when you really look at like you have a picture of what you see yourself doing, but you're not at that point, and you're trying to understand why you're not at that point. What
mhm,
about you, Milton?
Um, I agree with that. I feel like a lot of self conflict comes from, like you said, um, you not achieving the things that you know you're capable of doing, or the actions and the habits that you've formed um, just don't align with the person that you want to be or the person that you see yourself as. Because I feel like a lot of times we have our own perception of ourselves, and we kind of get into doing certain things that don't align with that or don't promote that image outward, you know.
Hmm.
And so that causes a conflict within ourselves because we don't feel like we're presenting ourselves the way we want to be seen, and we're not putting our best foot forward. So for me, I always try to, focus on the person I am comfortable with, not necessarily the person that people see or the person um, that people want to see or people like or whatever, because it's easy to start to conform yourselves into this image or to this person that is likable by people, because it's human nature. It's one of the physiological needs to be liked, to be, um, to have a sense of community with people, and to not want to be alone. Basically, you just nobody. It's not natural. It's not a natural human process to want to be alone all the time. That is something that is learned either through trauma or through just life experiences or whatever. Naturally, people, we as humans, want to be have some sort of community or want to be around other people. So
Yeah.
um, it's easy to become someone that is likable and that has people around them, but that is not who you are, at your core. So I always try to focus on who I am comfortable with, who is Milton comfortable with, who is Milton able to, sleep with at night, peacefully. And I'm not talking about like other person. I'm talking about like what version of myself am I able to sleep with at night? So um, it's just that's kind of what I focus on, just being me. Who am I comfortable with being, and then aligning, what I do up with that.
Yeah. I think
mhm,
my
So
biggest thing. I think
go
my
ahead.
biggest thing is just, with conflict. Each conflict is going to be different with whether it's a conflict within yourself or a conflict with friends and family or at the workplace. But I think the biggest like thing with me on helping me deal with conflict is identifying when I'm in a conflict or when a conflict is about to start. What when thinking of that, it's not that you're going to engage in a conflict, but you just have to know that okay, you got some pushback from another person. So once with me, once I identify that that's the situation, I just take a good look at it, whether I have to deal with it a certain way or go this way and deal with it. It helps me because most of the time back in the day, you never felt that you were in conflict with somebody. You just felt like, oh, you wrong, you're thinking wrong, you need to think how I think or whatnot. And that's the only thing you're focused on is just getting your point across. So when you identify when there's a conflict or something like this heading your way, and you just take a step back and just like, okay, does this really matter? And with yourself, why are you feeling this type of way or whatnot? Do you feel that you're capable of doing more? How can you do more? And sometimes you expect yourself to do more and you just can't do more, but you could just think of like, okay, down the road, if I have to come to this conflict again, what can I do differently to try to at least get better or take a step further? I may not get to the goal that I'm looking at, but at least I'm working towards it. So it's just like identifying a conflict is gonna benefit people a lot.
I'm good at identifying conflicts because I guess because I'm like I'm always super aware because I really
Yeah.
pay attention. I really pay attention to what's going on around me. I try to pay attention to what's going on with other people, and I pick up on stuff very, very, very quickly, and very, very, very well. Um, and y'all hear me say all the time, you can feel how you want to feel, and I say that as a joke. A lot of times to let you let people know I don't really give a shit. But also you can feel how you want to feel. Like that's fine. I don't have any control over that. But what you know I can do is let you know that this is how I feel, and you can feel however you want to feel because it's not going to change how I feel. And I don't expect how I feel to change how you feel. And so I know I've gotten really good. I think I've always been good at putting a hard stop at it, a hard stop on the situation right there, and letting people know that hey, we not gonna go down this road. You can feel how you want to feel. I'm gonna feel how I want to feel. We can leave it at that, and we can go on about our business. Because I'm not here to change your mind, and I'm not trying to get you to change our mind. And if we keep it right there, then the conflict has not become unhealthy and negative, and it's not going into a place where we're arguing and bickering and going back and forth and stuff like that. If you are okay with feeling how you want to feel, and I'm okay with feeling how I want to feel, because a lot of people aren't okay with feeling how they want to feel. That's why they try to convince you to feel how they feel, because they need you to believe what they believe so they can feel sure about what they believe. But see, I don't need you to believe what I believe. Yeah, I'm sure about what I believe. So whether you believe it or not, that's fine. But yeah, I've gotten good at that. We just gonna put a hard stop on it right there. You can feel how you want to feel, and this is how I feel. And unless they are detrimental to each other, unless what I feel is detrimental to you, unless what you feel is detrimental to me, we ain't got to discuss it. We ain't got to talk about it. There doesn't need to be you know a long think piece about it. We can just go on and go on about our day.
Mhm. I don't know, for
Yeah.
some reason, what popped up in my head was when Sheree and Nene got into it on that reunion about Sheree was saying that your child went to jail for shoplifting, and Nene had to check her ass. And she's like, I'm no different from you, bitch. What parent? But yeah, that was a conflict. But I see what you're saying. It's just being secure in what you think. And sometimes it's not worth fighting for. Baby, you gotta
Now
do
let
what
me
you
ask
do.
you. Let me ask you this: um, Is an argument and having a conflict with somebody the same thing to you, or are they different?
Um, I would say I would say it's kind of different, but I'm trying to figure out how. I would say a conflict is just basically, you two people are two parties are dealing with some type of situation, but you're coming up with two different results. And I say an argument can be two parties that maybe you came up with the same results, it's just that you went about it two different ways, and one party doesn't understand. But a conflict is just, I would say it's different. I can have an argument and we not be, afterwards don't be no, you know, beef or anything or nothing like that. But conflict, I feel like, is that the same?
I
Is
don't
that the
know. I'm
same?
asking you. I'm asking you what you feel. I can't tell you what you feel.
I would say a conflict is just basically two people, two parties just with two different results at the end, and you're trying to debate on who's right or forcing your opinion. But no, but I would say an argument is just. The only reason I think we would have an argument if you're having a conflict with disrespect, put it like that, because then you know we have a problem. So I would say it's different for me. I can have conflict with people and still work with them, and and it just we just have to be in the middle or whatnot if it means something to me. Now, our argument, I just feel like I just need to cuss your ass out. I don't give a damn what we talking about, but you made me feel away. So
Hmm.
we can
David,
agree
what
with
about
that.
you?
I would say an argument can be, for me, just a buildup of frustration, but it doesn't necessarily mean that we have a conflict. A lot of times, arguments can lead to a resolution to conflict, or it can expose that there may be conflict. So, no, to me, they're not the same thing. Um, and I think that either one leads to the other, or one is the presence of another, and not so much something separate.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Mm,
I agree with that. I don't. I feel like they go hand in hand, but I don't feel like they're the same. I feel like you can have a conflict with someone and not have an argument. And I feel like you
mhm.
can have an argument with someone and not necessarily have a conflict with them. You all can be arguing this.
Right.
You can be arguing the same thing. You know,
Hmm.
you all can be arguing the same point of view. And just because it's not presented the same way, or it's not, you're not using the certain words, or you're not getting to the goal, like Denzel said, the same way, then now you feel like you have to argue or whatever. Um, but anyway, but still, arguing is just, it's a form of communication. It's a less mature form of communication, but it is still a form of communication. And out of an argument, um, resolutions can be found, because most times you get in arguments and you're more keen to say things you wouldn't necessarily say in more calm situations. Um,
Hmm.
so I
Resolutions
don't
can be found, and asses can be on the ground.
see. See.
My
So,
lord.
okay, so let me ask that. Let me ask a question based off of what you just said there. When it comes to conflicts and seeking resolutions, if you all, the person that you're having a conflict with, you know, come to a resolve, is it really resolved, or are you choosing not to talk about it anymore? Like, are you
It
the
could
type
be.
of person that can really resolve a conflict with somebody and walk away with a clear mind, a clear conscience, and in a good space, or do you walk away choosing not to talk about the conflict anymore, but still dwelling on the issue, still upset that you didn't get to say what you wanted to say, still wanting to get off of your chest where you're coming from. Like, what do you like in the whole resolution process? And be
Oh,
honest.
with me, the resolution it could be both. If I feel like we're both trying our best to understand and at least meet in the middle, or find facts and come up with a resolution off of that, we I can live with that. And sometimes, the facts that we have, we both can, at the end of the conflict, we might not come to a factual resolution, but we come to a resolution where we can operate beyond the point of the conflict. I'm cool with that. Um, but I'm what was that?
You keep saying factual, and that may this may just be like the particular way that I'm processing it, but you keep saying factual. So what about like in relationships and stuff like that, where it's not always a matter of facts, and it's not always a matter of like a tangible, it's not as tangible as 2 plus 2 is 4. It's not always it's not always that straightforward when like emotions and feelings and stuff like that get involved. So if it's not like a factual um solution that can offer resolution to the conflict, then what do you do in that situation when it's like a matter of feelings, when you have to resolve issues of feelings and emotions? Like, how are you in those types of situations?
I look at it as I look at what's being presented to me, and with feelings and stuff like that. Sometimes you have to deal with people, how they're brought up, and that's just how they do certain things and stuff like that, whether it makes sense to you or not. I look at it how if I ain't gonna say if I agree, because at the end of the day, you're gonna do what you're gonna do. I look at it, will this continue to bother me down the road? Is this something that I can try to get over, or at least I ain't gonna say ignore, but tolerate? And if it's something that I can't tolerate, there's no resolution. And if there's no resolution, there's no you. And if there's no you, there's peace with me. But some things, it's just something. It's something that you have to work with, and you have to try to understand the other person. And if they have like a logical reason on why they feel or whatever, their side of the issue, how they come up to the, I ain't gonna say illogical, but one that, if they can just present to me like, hey, this is why I feel this way, or this is why I do this, it's just, say for instance, they do something a certain way because it comforts them. It's up to me to try to understand and say, okay, it doesn't make sense, you have to go all around this circle just to get to this point, but that's how you want to do it. It doesn't affect me or something like that. But if it's something that affects me, we may have to, decide to, agree to disagree on it and move accordingly. Whether it means, you do something separately, or I do it, on my own, or we do it at different times or whatever. I don't know. But it just, you have to do I have to gauge it on the person and the situation and how I'm feeling at that point.
Okay, what you're talking about is compromise, and I do have a follow up question for that. But David, I'm gonna give you a chance to answer the original question. How are you in conflict? Are you the type of person that can um, truly resolve a conflict and walk away with a clear mind and a clear conscience, or are you the type of person that still has lingering feelings of wanting to get your point across and wanting to get things off your chest? Like, how are you when it comes to resolving conflict? Do you feel like, in your experience of yourself, that you've been able to really come to a true resolve of conflicts, or do you always feel like there was something more you should have said or should have done?
I think at this big age, I think that I am more of a person that likes to resolve conflict and be over it. And I think that conflict also comes with a decision that you have to make to either drag this along or do I make this right? And I was actually talking to somebody today about coworker conflict and how if I were to offend someone at work, that I would be more so of the person to address the situation, apologize, rather right or wrong, just because my spirit would rather me have a peaceful workplace rather than be in a space with a person or with people that I regularly either have contact with, or am thinking about this person. If that person takes up space in my mind, I think that there is a duty as an adult to make that right. So I prefer not to necessarily hold on to conflict or hold on to strife, if you may. I would rather just clear it up. Let's just clear it up. Let's just put it out on the forefront so that we can have a conversation. So that if words need to be passed, words can be passed. And then we make a mutual decision to say, we're going to clear this up, or we're going to talk about this and let's move on. There aren't a lot of people in this world that can say that they aren't able to talk to me or aren't able to exist in the same space with me. So I'm just kind of one of those people where it's like, let's fix it. Let's fix it. Y'all fix it. Whatever. Let's move on because life is short. Um, take the time that you need to deal with the conflict or experience the conflict or grieve the conflict, however you may, and let's fix it. Let's just get it off the table because um, you never know when you're gonna need a person.
Hmm.
And for me, it's kind of like I'd rather not be in a conflict and then experience a situation where this very person or this very experience is the lesson or the person that takes me to the next level and I fail that test.
Hmm.
So I acknowledge the fact that on the human side, we have a tendency to kind of draw things out. But more so on the spiritual side, I'm kind of getting to the point where it's like, hey, bro, let's just fix it. I get that this is what happened. I acknowledge what happened, but I don't want to exist in this space with you where I have to constantly see you or we have to communicate or whatever. In the end, there's an issue there. Let's work on bridging that gap or fixing that relationship so that we can at least be cordial or we can at least get to a point to heal from whatever it is that transpired or whatever is causing a conflict in this situation.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And that's one thing too. Also with conflict, I like if we don't come to like some like when we're dealing with issues and we don't come to a common ground, let me know that. Don't
Hmm.
agree and go on, and then and I'm thinking one thing, but if I'm okay if you say like, hey, I still don't feel that way, but let's move on, whatnot. I'm cool with that.
Yeah,
That way,
but
I
be in a space to actually fix it. Because if you're looking for an argument, you're gonna be arguing with the cement wall.
yeah,
Because I'm not gonna do a bunch of raising my voice, a bunch of fighting and fussing. I'm gonna lay it on the table. This is my issue. This is the conflict that we have. How do we move forward? How do we fix it? And I think that we can get to this whole bickering thing, and I'm just not at this age. I'm not with any of that. So let's just fix it. Even
yeah.
if I'm wrong, I'll take my time. But a couple of days down the line, I'm gonna say, okay, I need to be the bigger person, or okay, I need to accept this that I did, or my wrong in this situation, so that we can move forward.
And that's another thing too, just giving people time to adjust to also to whatever the outcome of the conflict is. Because sometimes you want people to get it right then and there. And
Hmm.
some people work on their own time. Is it's, that's just the way the world is. So you just also have to give people time. You have to be patient too as well.
Hmm.
Milton, what was your follow up question on it? Compromise.
Um, it was something that you were talking about. I don't think I forgot now. Oh, so are you the person that's willing to compromise when it comes to resolving conflict, or are you the person that stands on whatever it is? If resolution is what you're seeking when it comes to resolving conflict, if a resolution between you and the person you're in conflict with is what you're seeking, are you the person that's usually willing to compromise on whatever the situation is, or are you the person that looks for the other person to compromise?
Mm, I would say with family, I I'm most likely probably the person that compromise with family and friends. In a relationship like love life, I used to be the compromising person, but I only compromise now where compromise exists. I'm not going to be the only person. Work wise, it depends on the situation. If it depends on me getting the job completed in the right way, I'm not going to compromise. That's something you have to go figure out. I'm not moving. I'm like a car, a tank with no gas. You're not moving me. You're not budging me because I have the facts here as to why we were coming up to this or whatnot. And career wise, I'm pretty much not the person that's going to compromise.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, family and friends, I would say I will compromise because there's only select people that I fool with, and those people really, mean a lot to me. So most of the time, what we're arguing or in conflict about doesn't really mean anything. It doesn't matter that much to me
So are you saying
Hmm.
that you're making a
unless you're treating
choice?
me or like
Are you making a choice
it
not to
depends on the
compromise when?
person.
Yeah, so you're making a choice. And the only reason I say that because sometimes we can drag shit out. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's why I was asking that question. Like sometimes we can drag shit out, and then we can also make a choice to say I'm not going to prolong this conflict that I have with this person, i.e., a friend. If you or Milton and I have a conflict, I think that we're all going to express ourselves in our different ways to say, "This is how I feel. This is the way it made me feel. I said what I said.
Hmm.
Let's work on fixing this over the next 24, 48 hours because we've had conflict before, and we've made a decision
Yeah.
to fix it and move forward now, immediately in the moment. And then you can have conflict with certain people, i.e., coworkers or family, and you can decide that I want to be selfish right now, or I don't want to make up with this person right now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Um,
Hmm.
with me, I would say, like I said, it depends on the conflict we're having.
Hmm.
Because most of the time, the conflicts we're having is just us stuck in our ways on
Yeah,
smaller issues.
but I'm
So it's
glad to
like
hear you actually say that though.
why?
I'm, because no, and I'm gonna say it from this direction. As your friend, I know you could be stubborn sometimes, and to hear you say it depends makes a lot of sense. It really depends because we've said on a previous episode, you could bring a problem to me and Milton, and you can know that we're telling you the right thing, and you'll be like. Bitch, I didn't call you for you to tell me the right thing, bitch. I called you so you could hear me talk about this bullshit, you know? And I think in certain aspects of life, we all think that way or have that, that outlook. So it was, for me, it was just a situation where I'm hearing you expose that, and it's like, well, damn, like that's real. Even though I know you as a person, and I know you slick like that, but we all have certain things that we're not necessarily willing to compromise on or allow somebody else to be right about.
And I think that comes from like now that you calling me stubborn, we have a conflict with but that comes from sometimes when we communicate. I think we call, and sometimes it comes off as if we're asking for advice, or
Hmm.
but sometimes we be wanting to call and just vent. And
Yeah. Hmm.
sometimes with certain people, you just have to say, "Hey, I need to vent," or because some, I guess
Yeah.
we don't have like a clear, like because if you call your friends, you tell your friends about an issue, your friends like you calling me so we can you want my opinion on
Hmm.
how do you get out the situation. And sometimes
Yeah.
people just want the vent, and I'm like that too because I feel like, okay, you calling me, you want my opinion, or what do you, if you
Or
don't want
what
my
you
opinion,
want.
why you telling
Yeah,
me?
because my thing is, if I'm wrong, I know I'm wrong. So
Because
I
I
don't need
asked
at the end of
y'all.
the conversation. Yeah, at the end of the conversation, I don't need nobody to say, "Well, bitch, you know you're wrong." Oh, I know I'm wrong. I just needed
I
to get it
asked
out with
y'all.
y'all.
I asked y'all right in the middle of it before you get too deep. So what do you want to do? Like what do you because I need to know what is the
Mhm.
purpose of the call before I just go in. But
Yeah, yeah.
for me, and I must apologize to you too, because I know I am very uncompromising. But in my defense, I am usually right. So so I
There we go.
just I just don't ever feel the need to compromise. But no, seriously, not even the whole I'm usually right thing. I
Hmm.
am the type of person, and y'all know this. If I am gonna stand on something, I have thought this thing through from every angle, from every perspective, from every
Hmm.
argument. So if I say I'm standing on something and I'm not compromising, bitch, I ain't gonna compromise
Hmm.
because I have
Yeah,
already thought this thing through. I promise you, I have put all the thought into it. So no, I'm
yeah.
not gonna compromise. And there aren't for me. And David Denzel is known not in this capacity, but Denzel has known me for most of my life. I am not
Hmm.
compromising.
Yeah. And I,
I'm
I
not.
think that as a friend group, I'm level headed for sure. Milton is more he's more logical. And then Denzel is more, I can see every single side of this whole thing. Like I think we all see certain things from different directions, and I'm gonna be like, okay, guys, let's fix it, let's do this. And Milton is like, well,
That don't make
ultimately, this
sense.
person is wrong. This person needs to be the person to apologize because they said this or did that. And Denzel is more so the person like, well, bitch, what we doing? We fighting this hoe? Are we fixing it? He's that person. Or, I get that we need to do this, but let's be mad for a few minutes right now. That kind of person. Yeah.
And a
And
lot of
also,
times it don't even be the fact that I'm mad because I don't ever really get mad about anything.
Hmm.
It's just, yeah, I'm not with that bullshit right there because that was wrong.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
from where I stand from, that was wrong. And probably from where another 100 people looking at this situation stand from, that shit was wrong.
Yeah.
So this is where I'm at. Like, this is where I'm at with it. So, and there are a
and I
few occasions, few and very, very far between where I be dead wrong. And, I'm quick to tell you,
Hmm.
now I know I'm wrong for that shit, but I just ain't ready to change my mind yet.
Hmm.
also with me, like also with like conflict, And when we're talking, and like you all say, sometimes I'm stubborn with certain things. I think like standing tall on certain decisions that I make is because like I have feelings or something. I feel a certain way about it that I'm not. I don't want to talk about
Ding,
that
ding,
about it
motherfucking ding, bitch. There we go. Come on out with it.
with
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
like me and you guys, we talk a lot about me dating and stuff like that or whatnot, and I give y'all a lot of pushback on it, but it's
I
only
don't say
because
no.
like I feel, huh? I know
I don't
y'all
even
don't
say
say
nothing no
nothing, but
more.
at first,
I
yeah, I was talking
don't.
about it, but it's like there are other things that I feel like I don't say about it or something like because most of the times I be still like dealing with like past trauma or certain things when I'm trying to deal with a certain issue or get past certain things, but I just don't say nothing about it. But I'm just like, I'm good, or I have a feeling about it that I don't want to say nothing about. So that's another thing also too, like with dealing with a conflict with a person. Sometimes they give you an answer, but they're not telling you the real reason on why they came up with that conclusion. And sometimes you have to accept it, and sometimes you don't.
Man, let me tell you something. I done accepted it, and I just don't even say nothing no more. And I always say, and I have said this to you. I said when Denzel is ready for us to know, we'll know. Now it may be 2 years, it may be 2 or 3 years later, but that's okay. When he is ready for us to know, he'll tell us. And I don't even worry about. When I tell you, I don't even worry about it no more.
Wait a minute. Now
When
we.
when Denzel is ready to tell us, because then I'm like, you just kind of grabbing at straws in the dark, like you don't really know what you're offering solutions to, because you don't have the
Yeah.
whole story. So I just be like, well, when I get the whole story, then maybe I can formulate something, or maybe I can offer some sort of advice based on my experiences. But until then, I just be
Mhm.
like, so what you gonna do?
Yeah, leave me alone.
It just be it just. I mean, and we're not picking on because we all have stuff like that. Me, you with
Mhm.
dating, me for the longest time with relationships. For a long time I didn't want to be in like a serious relationship. I didn't. And David with relationships because we have always said when David fall, he fall hard, bitch. When he falls
Mhm.
in there.
Mhm.
So we have
And
all
I
had
be
those
all in, and
conversations.
I be all in, baby.
I mean, we all have
No,
our little quirks and stuff. So, um, you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
be like,
None of us are
no,
exempt.
Diamond, you overreacting as usual.
As usual. But there's a certain level of maturity that comes along with being able to say, "This is who I am. These are my weaknesses.
mhm.
These are my strengths." And um, it's just kind of one of those things. I love where I am in life right now to be able to say, "Bitch, this is some shit that's wrong with you," or "This is where you really win over here," and "This is where you really fucking up." And relationships is something that I'm not going to say I necessarily struggle with, but I experience so many different types of people. And I think that my issues with relationships have been that I've received a very well rounded type of people. Like you may get somebody over here that really ain't got their shit together. You may get somebody over here that really got their shit together, but they got daddy issues or mommy issues and shit like that. So it's kind of like, just being in a place to be able to say, bitch, none of these people, the issues that these people got is really fucking with the issues that I got. And I'm okay with it. I get it. I understand that I see it. Or when a friend tells me that this is an issue, what you're doing is an issue, I can accept that and say, well, bitch, you're kind of right. You're right. I already know that about myself. So how we getting through it? How we gonna get through it?
Shoot, so we riding this out of what we doing.
We riding it out of what we doing, and I appreciate my circle for, speaking of relationships and shit. No matter what the situation is, the good, the bad, and the ugly, one thing I can do is I can count on you guys to give me your full support. Uh, Even when I'm doing something stupid, y'all will be like, "Now, hey, you finna do this for this person," or just supporting when I'm learning. You know,
Yeah.
um, I just appreciate us being able to just be like, "All right, well, I'm gonna let you go do your thing, but I'm gonna be here when it don't work out."
All right, Candy, let's find a studio and go lay some
And drop
beats.
some beats, okay? Yeah, yeah, because we've all been there in that situation for each other. I know
Mhm.
for a fact from up to damn near 10 years ago. We've been riding with each other for when we doing
Damn,
some
it
dumb
has been
shit.
that long.
Yeah, yeah, we done roll with each other through some shit, baby.
I just met
Mhm.
you hoes.
Rolled through some shit, drove
Already.
to some shit. Shoot.
But Denzel, I know you like to drive through shit and bust down your door and slap your bitch. Very Monica.
I'm gonna need you to say allegedly because you will get sued. You don't have no facts of that,
I'm putting it on She News. Um,
baby. From She by Sheen.
she by Sheen. That lady really put them bitches of candy up there. And Candy said, I'm gonna sue your ass.
Mm-mm.
And not only
Oh
just
my
Candy
god.
McKinney and her family, but who are me?
That's just how
Who
we roll.
are me? But this was a really, really good conversation, you guys.
Very good. Very good.
Thank you, Denzel. Thank you, Denzel, for bringing the conversation about conflicts to the forefront. That is going to wrap up this episode of As Told by Millennials. Be sure to, like I said earlier, subscribe wherever you're listening to podcasts and follow us on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, everywhere at As Told by Millennials. Um, and does anybody have anything to add before we go?
Mm-mm.
Uh, the heat is almost gone, so be sure to stock up on moisturization. I'm taking my own advice.
Yes, yes, all of you skincare people, it's time to switch over to your heavier moisturizer to get ready
Mm-hmm.
for the colder to get your oil based moisturizer to get ready for the colder months to lock in that hydration that hopefully you're adding to your skin. And I mean, well, the ones that know, they know that hydration and moisturization are two different things. So make sure you're getting both.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so, with that being said, we will catch you guys next time.
Y'all better come up here and
See
get
you
one
in
of
the next
these.
Peace.
go round. Bye.
That's too damn bad. And it's really very simple.